Hey everyone, Matt with Triple Locked Adventures. Today we are going to do a walk around and build detailed video on my 2012 Lexus GX460. I have had this vehicle since about 2019. I bought it as a two-owner, completely stock vehicle. The original owner was a leased vehicle, a lease owner, and the second owner was a certified pre-owned. Every single record on this thing was meticulous, even down to going to Lexus, even for a battery replacement, which is why I flew one way to Illinois to buy it and drove it all the way back to Western New York, which is where I currently reside, at least part-time. Before even buying this, had an entire spreadsheet of everything I wanted to do. I knew that as long as it checked out, I was going to move forward with a full build on this. It was just a matter of when and timing. Needless that or at least I couldn't predict at that time that COVID was going to happen. I bought this right when COVID started. Like, I had to wear a mask on the plane, but it was like, maybe we should do this type of deal. So when the build really started, everything was a disaster. Parts and front bumpers, rear bumpers, all this stuff was anywhere from 8 to 14 weeks out, and even then it was kind of a maybe this will happen, maybe this won't. So this build took a lot longer than it expected. I am very happy with the way it came out. There have been some updates, revisions, different versions over the years, but for the most part, the entire build has stayed as I planned it. Really, honestly, not much has changed at all. So I wanted to document this. A lot of people ask me about the build. A lot of people ask me questions on, what are the build details? Where did you get that part from? Why did you go with this? All this stuff, whether it's on the Facebook GXOR page, whether it's on Instagram Messenger, even at local car shows. I just went to a Cars and Coffee event yesterday held by Little Speed Shop, and I want to say there was at least a couple hundred cars there, and there were just people flocked around this. I mean, there was McLarens there, all that stuff, but people flock to this because, or at least in this area, it is extremely rare. So I want to do a build document on this. And to start, we'll start with the front. I'll try to go over as many details as I can. We'll work around the side, the top, the wheels, the tires, suspension, the back, and then we'll do an interior, both inside and trunk, detailed overview. There are a few things I won't go over just because it's kind of hard to look at every single thing. There is a detailed build list on my website, which links will be in the description for that if you guys are looking for little details on each and every item. Without further ado, let's dig into it. So in the front, probably the most noticeable thing you can see is the ARB Summit front bumper. These are extremely rare in the GX community for the point that they do not exist on a GX. They were never, I don't want to say they weren't designed for the GX, but they were actually designed for the Prado, so the Toyota Prado Land Cruiser 150 chassis. So I had this imported from Australia and retrofitted to my vehicle. According to ARB, this obviously, they say it does not fit here, but it does. It takes a little bit of massaging, and it takes a little bit of work, but it bolts right up to the factory mounts. The Toyota Prado, it is worth noting, the Toyota Prado 150 chassis and the rest of the world matches the same chassis in the US as you see here, the GX460, the 5th Gen 4Runner, and the FJ Cruiser. They all share a very similar chassis. Obviously, there's differences in body. Most notable with the GX is the GX has the 1UR FE V8, the 4.6 V8, and it also has a 6-speed automatic transmission, along with other goodies like KDSS sway bars. A-Track is standard. This specific one I have retrofitted with multi-terrain select, crawl control, a bunch of other things as well. So they share a very similar chassis is what I'm trying to say. So they say this bumper does not fit. Obviously, it does. And I really wanted the ARB bumper, obviously for their legendary status, but also as a child, I always loved the way the ARB bumpers looked on the classic Toyotas. specifically the 80 series Land Cruiser. Always loved the way those looked with ARBs, so I wanted to do that. A couple other reasons I was looking at the ARB bumper was this being a Lexus. You know, you buy a premium vehicle, it has premium features. Things like it has front parking sensors, it has radar cruise control, it has lane centering reminder, it has high beam, automatic high beams, automatic collision control system. It's got a lot of features, and I didn't want to just slap some sort of bumper on the front, good or not, that would delete all those features. I wanted to keep it all. I like OEM plus things. I know obviously this does not look OEM, but I like being able to retain those features. I like details. So I looked for a lot of bumpers out there, and not many of them had all those features. Actually, almost none. Some had front sensors, but would say, or they'd have a note, does not work with radar cruise control or things like that. So I found that the ARB did, specifically for the Prado Land Cruiser. So I took a chance, imported it from Australia, had it retrofitted to this vehicle, and it has been absolutely amazing. With that said, there are a more common bumper you will see on these vehicles is the Ironman 4x4 bumper. It is a very stout bumper. It is a direct knockoff of this bumper. There are a few things though that separate the ARB from the Ironman. One, the powder coat is significantly better on the ARB. Two, the ARB is the only bumper on the market that is actually crash rated. They actually take these and put them through crash ratings, which is why they are expensive. They are designed to work with the factory crumple zones, work with the airbags, and work as if it was a factory bumper, which is why you now see new Toyotas coming with ARB stuff from the factory. It's because they go the extra mile. I like that. I'll be honest, it wasn't a selling point, but it is a huge feature plus. So, mentioning all those things, you can see the white dots on the front. Those are the parking sensors. Those integrate with the front. They work just like OEM. Everything worked. Didn't even need to be recalibrated. Everything works just like factory. One of the other things I really liked about the Summit bumper is that it has these LED accent lights on the side. So these run as a nice bright white, I'd say probably similar to like a 6K bulb. They're nice daytime running light. In the corner of those, which I won't be able to really show you right now, there's 4 LEDs that also light up as turn signals. Everything wires up, you tie into your factory wiring, and everything functions like factory. So you have a nice daytime running light that really, I'd say, modernizes the front of the vehicle, and then you have nice LED turn signals as well. Works great. Other thing I really liked about this is that it is a full bull bar style bumper. You get ultimate protection, both from animal strikes, of course vehicles, God forbid that were to ever happen, radiator strike, all that stuff is all integrated, including these nice splash shields, which hopefully this can show that, go down to the sides. So if you hit deep water, snow, anything, it pushes it down and out. It also helps with aerodynamics too. You're not just having, yes, it's a heavy bumper, but you're not just having a big heavy anchor off the front that's cutting the air in pieces. It does flow very nice. It also has this honeycomb in the front, which allows air to flow through to the factory coolers as well. Very nice little detail. While we're here with this little honeycomb, there are a couple features with this honeycomb. You will see here, there are little doors that open and allow you to get to the clutch on the winch. On both sides, actually. This one, obviously there's nothing over there, but you'd be able to get in there. There's also a license plate bracket if you wanted to do it. And I'd say even most importantly, that's commonly overlooked, you can see your winch line. I don't know how many bumpers I've seen on the market that you cannot tell what you're doing with your winch line. I think that is quite ridiculous, to be honest. You need to be able to see your winch line. I guess that's worth noting. Let's talk about the things that are mounted to this bumper. Obviously a winch. I have the Come Up 12.5 RS synthetic winch. That has been an absolute monster. It has worked every single time. No issues, no complaints. Pulls this vehicle without issue, as you can imagine, being a 12,000 pound winch. But it's been great. It has relatively fast spool time too. It has, I guess it's worth noting too, it does on the top here. I have the mount up here. for the wired unit, but it also comes with a wireless unit. I've never actually used the wired unit other than just like spooling it, you know, by hand or something like that, just kind of that type of thing. But the wireless unit's amazing. Pairs right with it. You can either do it if you're solo or have your spotter help you, whatever. And then of course you've always got the wired unit for a backup unit, which I keep stored away on inside. For a winch fair lead, I'm still using the come up fair lead. If you can see in this image, it has unfortunately corroded and really kind of not lasted well. It has been on for about 4 years now. I'm in the Northeast. There's a lot of salt up here. Winters are pretty rough. So I'm not surprised because it looks like it's kind of like some sort of, I don't even know. It's not a powder coat. It's some sort of coating they put on it. It just didn't last very well. With that said, I do have a new Factor 55 offset that's going to be going on here. I'll be doing a video on that, showing install and why I got that specific unit. Speaking of Factor 55, I am running their Flat Link Expert in red with the rope guard. The rope guard's pretty nice because it blocks the main connection point from like all of your road debris and stuff. Kind of just blocks it. That doesn't come standard. I think it is a very worthwhile investment though. I mean, the thing's right out front, so why not have it? This Expert Flat Link has been great anytime I've actually had to use it, which is pretty rare, but being a closed loop system, if you know anything about recoveries, closed loop is the way to go. You really can't argue with that. Other features on this bumper, while we're down here, there are on both sides, there is a spot integrated in the bumper to use a high lift jack. I actually specifically use the ARB version, but there's an integrated spot to do lifts on the front of the vehicle if you needed to for any reason. I've tested, I've never actually needed to use it in the field, but I've tested it. Works phenomenal. The bumper does not move in any way, shape, or form and has worked great. Things I have attached to the bumper. I guess while we're down here, we'll work down here and work our way up. First thing you'll see side to side is I have upgraded the fog lights. The ARB comes with these little fog light pods on the sides. They're designed to integrate with the factory halogen fog light assemblies, which I did have in there for a very short period of time. And then I swapped out to these Baja designs, which you'll see a theme. I have done Baja designs on everything on this vehicle. These specific lights are the Baja Design Squadron SAE. So they are a road legal fog light. I did them in amber. They've been great. So I did end up buying from Baja Designs the Toyota factory mounts and a Toyota factory T-harness so that I allow it, so these plug into the ARB bumper relatively easy, but with the mounts, it mounted right up and I was able to make adjustments on them to aim them correctly. Also with the harness, it literally plugs and plays into the factory wiring, so it works just like a factory fog light. I love that. I love like OEM plus type of stuff. It is worth noting, these being amber do not put out as much light as, say, a white one would. I don't actually know if they even offer the SAEs in white. I'd have to look. But the amber really cuts through the rain and the snow, which is huge. You know, the whole point of a fog light is that it cuts through the fog. Amber does a great job with fog, rain, snow. Casts a good amount of light, but no glare. It doesn't blind people. I've had my wife drive head on at me, you know, not head on, but you know what I mean, head on in traffic. And she said it's, you know, it's like you notice that they're aftermarket yellow LEDs or amber LEDs, but it doesn't blind you. So those have been great. Moving up, we have two Baja designs. Notice a theme. LP9 Pros. These things are insane. I call them the Retina Blasters. These things, you would never want to turn them on and look at them. They are insanely bright. They have side-emitting LEDs on them. They have, these are specifically the white with the combo, the driving combo lens. You can see the bottom is a diffused light and the tops are spots. They have a high-low function. They also have an amber daytime running light function. So the factory daytime running lights on this, I have upgraded to LEDs. The actual LP9s have backlights, and of course you've got the white backlights on the ARB bumper. It gives it this really nice presence going down the road. Looks really cool at nighttime. I'll have to do some photos of it. I guess I wanted to note on LP9 Pros, so I think I mentioned they have a high-low function. I have these wired up to my Switch Pros, Switch Pros has a function in there that not many people know about, but you can set it so that when you press one switch, it automatically deactivates the other associated switch. It is important when you wire LP9 Pros, if you are using aftermarket wiring at least, that the high and low are not on at the same time. It will actually burn out the lights. It says that in their instructions, and I don't think many people know that on the Switch Pros there's an option for that. I'll show you on the inside, but when you press low, the low beam comes on. It acts just like a low beam would, casts out the sides, it casts out a decent amount of front. Honestly, it's brighter than the factory, lights would be. And then the high beam function on that, when you press it on the Switch Pro, automatically switches off the low beam function on the LP9 and turns on the high beam function, which is really just all the lights. But they're bright, and they shoot light down the trail super, super far. Like, I have been out in trails, mostly like forest roads at night when you're typically be going 30-ish miles an hour, 40 miles an hour. These lights far exceed the speed that you would ever be going in the vehicle. They are insane. They're amazing. What other things to note on the front bumper? One thing you may have noticed if you have a keen eye, I am running an ARB dual air compressor, and I wired up, plumbed a really nice little air chuck up here. So there's a nice air chuck with a cover so it doesn't get any dirt or debris in it, and I made just a quick little bracket, super stout, not going to bend or anything, but I ran the wire, or the tubing, I guess you want to say, right over to the compressor, which I'll show you guys in the future under the hood, but there is an ARB dual compressor underneath the hood, and the connection's right up there. I have all my air up gear in the back, but I have a 4-tire inflation system that I can air up or air down all 4 tires at the same time. It's relatively quick. Most importantly, it's very convenient and easy. Moving up, I am running the Midland radios. I'll show you the actual radio itself inside, but this is just their ghost antenna. I am aware that this is not the best ground plane for this or the best functionality. I do have plans to run one of the bull bar antennas from Midland in the future. It just hasn't happened yet. I moved this over there more for testing purposes and just never really changed it. I do have the taller antenna as well that I use sometimes, but anyway, bull bar antenna coming, nice clean mount. I guess that's worth noting on the ARB. They come with tabs from the factory to mount things right up there. You could do a light bar, or you could do all that kind of stuff. Same thing with these lights. There were factory holes already in the bumper, just had to put the lights on and run the wiring. Super easy. What other notes on the front though, guys? I guess skid plates and recovery, right? Underneath, for recovery, I am running the ARB recovery points on both sides. I actually have never seen these on a GX in the US outside of my vehicle. Please someone post theirs, but I think the reason why is ARB says that these only fit the Prado Land Cruiser and the rest of the world. Guys, they do definitely fit this. These have been stout. I wanted an actual recovery point. Those factory little hooks that you guys can see, some people use those for recovery, guys. That is to strap the vehicle down on a tow truck or something like that. It is not a recovery point. You will literally rip your frame in pieces. I have personally seen it happen on a 4Runner. Get recovery points as long as they're rated. These ones are heavy, heavy duty. They tie into the frame not only on the side but on the bottom. I want to say there's 3 or 4 bolt mounting points on them. I think they're rated at 20,000 pound braking force each. Of course, you shouldn't side load them. You shouldn't brindle the front or something like that, but that's a whole nother recovery story or recovery video. Other recovery or other protection stuff, I am running the RCI steel skid plates on the engine, transmission, transfer case, and gas tank. I'm also running a Bud-built rear diff skid plate. So really everything underneath the vehicle is 100% protected. I went with steel because it is stout, it slides, it does not bend, it conforms nicely. Those look super clean. Don't let that fool you. I actually had just repainted those and kind of unbent them a little bit this year, so they look pretty fresh. Same thing with the sliders. A lot of things kind of got just touched up. I try to do that every year. The Northeast is really rough on salt and snow and stuff, so I try to keep it refreshed as much as possible. It is a dedicated trail rig though, so You know, I'm sure you saw all the pinstriping on the front bumper and the paint and everything. It gets used. Let's move on to the side. Before we get down to the wheels and tires and suspension, it is worth noting I am running the Baja Designs S2 Sport. These are a driving combo lens as well, in amber. I use those for ditch lights. Those have been great for their intended purpose, for going through ditches, for lighting the sides of the trail, seeing animals that are off to the sides, all that stuff. I went with amber on those because it really helps with depth perception. A white light, of course, would give you, or at least I should say, would give you a better light output, but the amber gives you a better depth perception, which is really important in my opinion when you're doing off-camber situations, through rocks, roots, you know, all that stuff. It really shows you the intricacies of the ground that you're crossing. So I really love those. Those have been great. Let's move down to wheels, tires, and suspension. Wheels are the Toyota OEM TRD Pro SEMA wheels. These came on the 5th gen 4Runners. I bought them from a dealership, you know, just brand new out of the box. I like the look of them. I'll be honest, I do have plans for other wheels in the future, but these have worked great. My only complaint was I liked a little bit more of an aggressive offset, so I did do some PrinsuRacks wheel spacers, which moved this out to the equivalency of, I want to say, a -12 offset, give or take. Somebody would have to quote me on that. Those have worked out great though. I've been super happy with that overall. For tires, we are running the 285 75/17 Nitto Ridge Grapplers. This is the third set of tires that I've had on the vehicle. I started out with like just slightly over factory size on factory wheels. I got these wheels and went to 33-inch mud tires, and now I'm on the 285/75, which is like a metric 34 on the Ridge Grapplers. Like I mentioned, I have plans for things in the future. If you will guess, yes, 35s are coming at some point, and some different wheels. That kind of covers wheels and tires. I do have upgraded brakes front and rear, mostly just pads and rotors, stainless lines, fluid, nothing really to write home about, just better brakes. Suspension wise, we got quite a few things going on, and some of this integrates with wheels and tires on how I was able to fit these tires. If you know anything about these chassis, the 33-inch tires are hard to fit in the first place. Well, not really hard, but they take some trimming. You usually have to do a cab mount chop. 34s, even more so. 35s, you're really getting dirty. So to fit these 34s, first and foremost, I did do a cab mount chop. So in the back, I don't know if this is going to focus well. In the back, I have a pretty aggressive cab mount chop. I also customized these sliders, which we'll go over here in a second, so that we had more clearance. And I'm not sure if that's even gonna be able to see in the video. It's kind of hard to tell from my camera here, but I did do clearancing in the back to make those fit. And then I did some suspension upgrades to do this. So I don't want to go in the weeds on this. There's a lot of videos online, but a lift kit does not make you fit tires, guys. The tires have to go through the full suspension travel no matter what. The lift kit makes it easier at a static ride height, but not all the way through. So you actually have to make them fit all the way through. On the front of the vehicle, to do that, I did end up having to trim this ARB front bumper wing that comes down. It would actually go almost to the edge here. So I did trim off about 1.5 inches, repainted it, the whole thing, you know, like you should. That allowed the tires to go full cycle front, you know, front and rear, turned, full compression, everything. These fit without issues now in the front. The back was just a very small adjustment with the control arms, and it went up and down, no problem. The rear is super easy on these. Front takes some work. Other things I had to do was, for lift, I am actually running the Dobinson's MRRs, front and rear. I'm running their second heaviest front spring and their heaviest rear spring, which have been great. To be honest, I have some new stuff coming. We'll do a video on that in the future. Yeah, I won't go too many details, but spoiler alert, there's some new stuff coming, and I think you guys are gonna like it. For upper control arms, I don't know if this is focusing well, but upper control arms, I'm running the Dobinson's billet upper control arms that have adjustable camber. which has allowed me to manually adjust my camber with the upper control arm and not have to worry about it with the lower control arms. For the lower control arms, I am running the Super Pro double offset KDSS control arms. This has allowed me to retain the KDSS system, but also have double offset bushings, which gave me a lot more adjustment on my caster. So the front the wheels are a lot more forward than they normally would be. I don't remember the exact numbers, but I want to say it's like 4.8, something like that on each side, and allowed me to dial in my camber with my upper control arms, which has helped a lot with the alignment, big time. It is worth noting while we're down here and talking about suspension, I do have a few goodies from Dom at Dr. KDSS, not a real doctor, you know if you know. The end brackets here, I have his adjustable, not really, well I guess they are adjustable actually, they're adjustable angle correction brackets for the KDSS system. When you're lifted, the angles on these can get very aggressive. Not only are they really hard to put on, if you've done suspension work on these, it's a real pain to deal with the KDSS. But, so this fixes, ease, but also it fixes the angle of these bushings, and it has literally doubled the life of the bushings. Ever since I've done this, I have not had to replace the bushings, where before I was replacing the bushings probably every 15,000 miles. Granted, I do wheel a decent amount, and this vehicle weighs a lot. I also have his, I guess you want to call them little locks or keepers that go around the KDSS sway bar on both sides. This side's the ram side, the hydraulic ram. Holds the hydraulic ram in place and really just kind of keeps the whole front from moving side to side. Keeps everything nice and tight. Between these mods and his switch that allows me to, how do you want to describe it? It allows you to manually turn off the KDSS system so that I can disconnect my sway bars, quote unquote, at any time I want. The factory system only does it in 4 low and at under 15 miles an hour, I want to say. This allows me to do it at any time I want from a button on my Switch Pros, which I'll show you guys in a little bit later here. Only other thing to note on here, not really necessary, but I did do see if this can focus, it's kind of focusing. Yeah, I also did the cam tab gussets on this vehicle. I had a local fab shop help me weld those up, and that has helped a lot with holding alignment and making everything work nice. I guess that really covers suspension, guys, at least in the front. The rear, I am running an upgraded panhard bar. I'm running the panhard bar correction bracket, adjustable Dobinson's upper and lower control arms. Yeah, kind of all the goodies, really. Everything is adjustable. Everything is super heavy duty. Everything is dialed in. It's amazing. While we're on the side, I almost forgot sliders. These are the Expedition 1 sliders. Few things I was looking for in sliders was, one, I wanted something extremely stout. I wanted something, of course, that tied into the frame, and I wanted something with a step. It's kind of a little hard solution, especially if you want something that's like heavy duty step, or not really heavy duty step, but something that's like safe. My wife wanted to be able to get it on the vehicle very easily, and I wanted to be able to get up to our roof rack. These have this nice aluminum tread plate in them. It's super stout. It's gonna be hard for me to stand on this right now, but you can stand on this 2-3 people. It's not going anywhere. I've had this vehicle 100% on the sliders before. They do not move. It has not bent anything, moved into the doors, nothing. I don't know if I'll be able to show it, but on the bottom of these sliders, they are a completely flat bottom. It's angled out, but they are a completely flat bottom, which has been great. And again, don't let that fool you. I have touched those up with Steel-It paint, but the rocks slide right off of them, stumps, all that stuff slide right off them. Awesome, super stout. Before we get to the back, I mentioned roof rack. Let's go over the roof rack. This is the Prinsu design roof rack. This has been on the vehicle for quite a while, almost from the very beginning. I think it was one of the first things I did, actually. I love this roof rack. I have 0 issues with it. I have some accessories on it. Let's go into accessories. So I do have the wind fairlead, which I believe comes factory on it. You can get one with a light cutout or not. I option for not. Personally, I'm not a fan of lights up there. All the dust gets in the way, the snow, the rain, and they blind you off your windshield. I don't know. Not my personal preference. They do also have, or at least I have, these nice grab handles, which originally were really more of a grab handle before I had a rooftop tent. The main reason I got them is that you can integrate Baja Designs rock lights into them. These are the amber color. I did that mostly for light, not really light, what I'm saying. Obviously for light, for like scene lighting, but more for bugs. So these allow you to have scene lighting, which is wired up to my Switch Pros. You notice a theme here. And allows you to have nice scene lighting underneath the rooftop tent when it's deployed and the awning. I have some on the other side, which we can go over there and see those. The ones on the awning side are a little tough because, as you can see, I unfortunately had to offset the iCamper to the side to fit the awning. I am working with a local fab shop to get some custom-made brackets for the awning so that this iCamper can sit center. My OCD will be fixed. And yeah. With that said, the lights on this side are a little bit hidden under here. I didn't originally have an awning when I first did these. So these kind of sit down here, as you can see. And over here, when the awning is deployed, it does give you some light under the awning. Not as much as I originally had planned. But like I said, this awning is going to come out, the tent's going to get centered, and we're going to have a nice amount of light under there. Those lights have been great. I love when you come into camp and you can just light up the whole scene and set up camp without any issues. While we're talking about roof rack, I mentioned the iCamper. So the iCamper is the iCamper SkyCamp 3.0 full size. I love this tent. I originally had ground tented for the longest time. I went from REI to a Gazelle tent, and all those were great. No issues, no problems, but the rooftop tent is a game changer. I love that thing. I'll do another video of the rooftop tent and the awning deploying, some of the upgrades I've done in the iCamper. Yeah, we'll go there at a different time. Awning. I'm running the Raptor 6K from Overland Pros. It's a 270 degree awning. We'll back up here because this thing goes all the way. Let's see if I can get my hand in the image. It goes from about here all the way down the side of the vehicle, all the way around the back. I've been to a lot of Overland Expos. I've seen a lot of people's awnings. This is the largest awning on the market by far. It is freestanding, can go 20 to 30 mile an hour winds, give or take, depending on your threshold. And it does have integrated feet you can deploy, and it has guy lines and stakes that come with it. I have literally been through hurricane weather with this. Obviously not that high winds, but insane torrential downpours, thunderstorms, zero issues as long as you guy lie it down. 90% of the time, I just open it up if there's no wind like there would be right now. I would just open it, and you've got great sunshade and a lot of rain coverage, which is amazing. That thing is a godsend. Let's see. On the side, I don't think there really is anything else that's going to be on the side of the vehicle. So let's cover the back. After we do the back, we'll work onto the interior, and then we'll work towards the back of the actual vehicle. We'll go over like the trunk setup. So on the back, for protection, I am running the Victory 4x4 rear bumper. I believe this is the Strike Series rear bumper. This one I specifically have the rear dual swings attached. And let's go over a few features that I was looking for in the rear bumper, and then we'll go over kind of just some of the things that are attached. So features I was looking for, once again, I wanted backup sensors to work from the factory. I wanted to retain as much as factory. I wanted it to not block the factory rear backup lights, which are on the sides here, at least on this bumper. I believe the newer 2014 and above may be different, but I know this one, it does not, so that was nice. It integrates, so you can still see the reverse lights work. And I wanted, obviously more protection. You know, I hit my rear bumper a couple times, mostly the trailer hitch from the factory, but I did hit my rear bumper a couple times when wheeling, the factory one that is. And I even actually crushed in the exhaust on the rear of this vehicle before I upgraded to this, which was kind of the main factor. Speaking of exhaust, we'll just go over that briefly. I'm running the MagnaFlow Overland series exhaust, which you can see down there, maybe. That's been great. It did add a little bit more noise. My wife absolutely loves it. I find it a little droney. I know most people say otherwise, but it sounds good, but it is a little loud when you're on long trips. It does sound great when you're on the trail, though, especially when you're in 4 low and lugging it. Ooh, that Toyota V8 is nice. But let's get back to the bumper, guys. So you can see the parking sensors are all the way around it. They do function I have had a few issues with aiming them. I've worked with Victory on that. Unfortunately, if you don't aim them perfectly, they do sense the spare tire and or the MaxTrax, which is a little frustrating, but it can be done. You just got to tinker with it. Other things in the bumper that I was looking for was recovery points. You know, that's a big factor on these in the rear. Of course, you can do a trailer hitch recovery, but I wanted actual recovery points. This has nice stout recovery points on the left and the right side. Just put a shackle in there and then whatever soft stuff you want from there. And those work very, very good. It's all tied into the frame, super nice. Can't see here very well. It does have an integrated trailer hitch, and then hidden up under the bumper, which I probably will not be able to get a camera angle of, it does come with a relocation bracket for the trailer wiring. All that is retained. Mine specifically is actually moved even more with a new custom bracket because I am running a Long Range America fuel tank system that replaces the spare tire location, which means I am running up to, well, I guess my capacity of fuel is now increased to 47 gallons. I have an auxiliary fuel tank that, so when you fill up your vehicle, it fills up as normal, but it splits between 2 tanks, and then there's a transfer pump and a switch on my dash. I literally can refuel myself while I'm driving. That is a game changer, guys. I can go about 600 miles of a full tank on this, which for a vehicle getting 12 to 13 miles a gallon-ish is pretty amazing. I've had some scenarios where I've almost ran out of fuel. Specifically, this one needs premium, and that's been could be a problem. It's been close. I've had a couple close calls. So having that has been huge. I can just keep going and going and going and almost never stop, which is amazing. Back to the bumper though, I am running, as you can see, some Baja Designs Squadron Sports in a flood pattern in the back. Those are also on my Switch Pro system. I use these for supplemental lighting in the rear, specifically if you're backing into something, or like not backing into something, hopefully not, backing into like a campsite. It really lights up the scene. The factory cameras on these are okay at night. Proper lighting helps that a lot. So those have been really nice. I don't really use them that often, but it is pretty nice. I guess you could use them as chase lights, but they're stupid bright. Like they will blind you, especially the way they're aimed. I probably wouldn't use them as chase lights. But let's get on to speaking about camera. So on the swings, on the right one, I am running the spare tire attachment, which is a full-size 34-inch spare. And I am actually using a license plate relocation bracket with the camera integrated. So the factory camera is typically way back there where the license plate is, and it just stares at the tire when you put it in reverse. So I relocated everything back here. I also wired up a nice little, see if it'll focus at all. There it is. I wired up a weather pack connector. So I bought a specific weather pack connector and all the terminals and a tool and made my own weather pack connector. So this whole assembly can just be taken off, unplugged, and you can swap your tire very easily. Huge plus. I love it. It's great. It's required in New York State to have your license plate visible, so that's worked out great. On this side, I have a spare, I have a 5-gallon jerry can holder, which I have slightly modified at the top, you can see. And that's because I use the Lifesaver Jerry 5-gallon water container. That allows you to put water, or take water from any water source, ideally clean, and gives you clean drinking water right out of the jerry can. It's mil-spec rated. They've used it in third world countries to get water. I love it. It's probably not for everybody, but I'll do a review on that later. I'm also on this side, as you can see, these massive recovery boards. To be honest, I had cheap Amazon ones for a long time, or not really Amazon. I had some other ones for a while and got stuck and then kind of broke them, or at least worn them out. Bought MaxTrax. I hate to say it, but I've only ever used them to level the truck now. I have not gotten stuck since I did all the upgrades on the vehicle. So they're there. I do use them on a regular basis. But yeah, we have MaxTrax as well. I think that really covers the rear of the vehicle, guys. The only thing on the right side that we could go over is the snorkel. This is probably the number one question I get on this vehicle. The snorkel is a Dobinson snorkel. I actually wanted the ARB one, but I couldn't get it at the time during COVID, so I got the Dobinson's one. Honestly, no complaints. Works great. Looks great. Integrates right through the, obviously you got to drill your fender, and I painted it all so it looks nice and won't rust, and sealed it and put silicone on it, all that. It ties right into the factory side of the airbox. Works great. Reason I did this, guys, and number one question I always get is, do you go through deep water? Yes, we'll get to that in a second, but I did it for dust. We would go on a lot of trips, and my engine air filter would get absolutely filthy. Like, I'd have to shake it out or replace it almost after every decent trail trip. So I put the snorkel on, which used to have the factory head on it, and I never had a filter issue since. I did have some concerns, not issues, but concerns of water and snow intrusion into that Stegosaurus style looking head that used to be on there. So I did this Cyclone snorkel upgrade kit. This unit's pretty trick. I think it was originally developed for military applications. You can see there's a little slit in the side that faces backwards. And inside here is like, best way to describe it is like a fan blade. So when you give it gas, it creates suction on that intake system. It spins that blade, and any dust or particles that would get sucked in from the bottom here is where the air comes in. It spins those like in a centrifuge type of idea and shoots them out the side. I have never had any issues with my engine air filter since then. It does actually sound kind of cool too, but that's just a side effect. Nothing else to say. I guess we talked about water crossings. In the Northeast, we don't get deep water crossings. You know, I'd say maybe halfway up your wheels, maybe full way up your wheels, nothing super deep. We did go to Arkansas and wheeled in the Ozarks with the Ozark Adventure Trail, and I had water over the hood. So yes, the snorkel has been used, and yes, it literally saved my motor. So yeah. Well, I shouldn't say it saved my motor, but the motor didn't go, and we had zero issues other than an alternator going, which that's a whole nother story. But snorkel's been phenomenal. Before we go inside, guys, let's talk about some of the things you can't see. I already covered the long-range fuel tank, so I guess just in detail, you fill up through your factory port here, just like you would with any gas. It actually has a diverter, I guess like a Y system off of the factory fill neck that fills both tanks, and then there's I'll show you guys later, a switch inside that allows you to transfer the fuel over to the main tank while you're driving. It is a little slow, and it makes like a slight clicking noise because it's a transfer pump, but literally you can refuel yourself while you're driving, and it fills faster than you can use it, so that works out great. Other things you can't see: it is re-geared. I am running 456 gears from Nitro. I am also running Eaton E-lockers front and rear. Hence the name of my channel. This is a triple locked GX460. I think that's pretty rare. Some people have done it. It is a huge expense, but I think it's really worth it. Specifically regearing these. When I was at mostly factory weight and went to 33s, I immediately noticed that it was slow. When I went to when I went to 34-inch tires and it was heavy, the thing was stupid slow, especially on hills. It was driving me nuts. Even on the thruway, 75 miles an hour, it was always hunting for gears. Ever since I went to the regear, that is 90% gone. The last piece of that is I am running a Yoda Works Black Hawk active duty 93 octane tune. Hence I was mentioning earlier premium fuel. These actually from the factory require premium. Now with the tune, I absolutely have to run premium. And between the two of those though, the regear and the tune, this thing, honestly, it's great. It drives amazing. It holds gears great. It boogies. It's just great. That's all I can really say about things you can't see. There's probably little choice stuff that I really, guys, can't show you, stuff that's hidden, stuff that's behind panels. So I won't be able to do every detail, but I'm trying to be as thorough as I can. Let's get into interior though. Driver's cockpit. I should note that this is kind of a temporary solution right now. This is version 3 of the interior. I am waiting for some new mounts from Ohana Rig Supply so I can kind of redo this. But I have some GoPros in the front, and I started doing this. This is kind of why I'm redoing this, is obviously I just started this channel. I'm brand new, which is a great point to bring up. Please like and subscribe. Share this. I'm going to be posting new videos, new content all the time. But without further ado, I have a GoPro that is mounted on a RAM mount system facing me. I also have one facing out. I want to say these are the GoPro 10s, a little bit older. I'm actually sponsored by GoPro for my mountain biking, so I've just had these for a long time and still use them. I am running a dash cam from Viofo there. You can see that up there. There's also one in the back. And I am running the Valentine V1 version 2. I have two. You can really only see this white one here. There's one hidden on the other side for my wife. These are the iPhone mag chargers. You just put your phone right up there and it charges. New addition is this new Garmin Tread XL Overland Edition. I'm still in testing. I just got this. I'll be doing full reviews on it. All I can tell you guys is this is absolutely amazing. And because I'm a nerd, I actually hacked the operating system and I'm running some apps that you guys probably had no idea you could. So keep posted for that. Other things on the interior, which let me hop in here. Hopefully the zoom isn't too close here. This is the Switch Pros. This is one of the things that's going to be a little, I should say is temporary. I'm going to be running a mount here from Ohana Rig Supply that will be just nice and clean. The wiring will be hidden under there. Won't be any arm. But either way, Switch Pros. So as we talked about before, I'm running the A-pillar lights. The work lights are actually the scene lights on the roof, or on the Prinsu roof rack. And then, if this will focus, the bumper and the spot are the LP9 Pros. So the bumper is the low beam, and then the spot is the high beam. There's the lockers. We have a rear locker and a front locker. Those are, again, the Eaton E lockers. There's my sway bar disconnect switch, which this is like freaking out focusing. That is the sway bar disconnect from Dr. KDSS. I have that wired up to his plug-and-play T-harness kit. That allows me to turn off my sway bars at any time. And then we have those reverse lights that were in the reverse bumper. Other things I want to show you, we are running the Midland radios. This is a slightly older unit. This is their 275. I just have a quick little connection there. And then this has the control head that's right on the remote itself, which allows you to remotely mount the actual unit. I have that in my center console. I want to do a whole review on electrical later, but yeah. I've done a few other things in interior. I swapped out the factory USB, which is absolutely useless other than like uploading something to a radio, which you can just use Bluetooth. So I upgraded those to some quick charge 3.0s. And then I also have this really trick. This is for the Midland radio. This is actually a Cat 6, like, what do you call these? Pass-through connector. Cat 6 cable is the same connector that they use for a Midland radio. So nice, clean. I can put the radio away if I want to. Sometimes it drives the wife nuts that it's right there. I just haven't found a good solution for it. But yeah, you can put it away if you need to. If not, plug it in. Works amazing. Other than that, things you guys really can't see. This vehicle did come with the rear airbags, which have been deleted. It does have hill descent control, crawl control, A-track from the factory, and of course four-wheel low. And we have a center locking diff from the factory. This button is pretty rare. I think this was only from 2010 to 2013 maybe. This allows you to turn off your side airbags when you're wheeling. Kind of cool. I believe I read the new ones have a new calibration where you don't need to, but the old ones you can actually just turn off your side airbags, so when you're wheeling and you're going on steep, side articulations, it won't deploy your airbags on accident. Pretty cool. I'm sure all the Bronco and Jeep guys would love that. Things that are like OEM plus. Down here, I have the button for the LRA tank. So let's see if this will focus at all. There's a level gauge when the vehicle's on. This shows you if it's full or empty. And then there's a button here that you would press, and it only works when the vehicle's on, but it will refuel the tank while you are driving. Pretty freaking trick. Other thing is, underneath the hood, which will do probably last, is this is the switch for the Airby air compressor. I do have this wired up on the relay for only when the engine is running. It pulls a lot of power, but it's a nice OEM looking switch. I kind of wish it was more white like this, but when you click it and it's backlit, it backlights just like the factory. Of course, you have headlight washers, your factory traction control system, your heated steering wheel. This vehicle has heated and cooled seats, heated seats in the rear, 3-row climate control, all the things. Ooh, I almost forgot. I am running the seat jackers in the front, which raises the front of the seat and really helps with comfort. These are very, very adjustable as it is, but that helped even more. And then I'm also running this really cool mount that I'm sorry, but I forgot who it's from. I want to say it was called the Bracketeer, which it might say right on there. And that is an Element fire extinguisher. I also have one in the rear. I wanted one for the driver to quickly deploy, and I wanted one in the back for when we're camping. In the back, shameless plug, there's my channel. In the back, this is set up for the dog. So we have this nice hammock set up, and hopefully the exposure is not going to be too off going in and out. But we have this nice hammock set up. I believe this is from Orvis. This goes all across the back. It is quilted. You can literally just take it out and throw it in the washing machine. The dog sleeps in the back. We used to have her sleep in our tent, but now that we have the rooftop tent, I have not found a way to get her up there without lifting her. She's 60 pounds in a medium-sized pit lab mix. It's a little tough. I've done it, but she actually enjoys sleeping back here. One of the reasons why is I have this nice little fan. It's a rechargeable fan that has a high, low, and medium function. It also has like a natural function where it like blows more like a wind would. Pretty cool, honestly. You can recharge it, lasts like 10 hours or something like that. And that blows right on her. We also have snap shades that go into these back doors. They kind of just snap right in, magnet into the factory frame, and that is like a mesh screen, so it allows fresh air in. She's super comfy. Let's see if we can go around the door here and maybe show you guys this a little bit better. I also have these Molly panels from Blue Ridge Gear Supply. That holds like my just air up gear, you know, radios. I got a ham radio, I've got my water bottle, I've got some Midland radios for spotters or for people that forgot stuff, you know, just gear, organization, stuff like that. It's worked out great. Yes, we know the headrests are backwards. We did that just so they're out of the way. We really just need them to hold up these things. Back here, there's not really else I can mention. I will do a whole electrical thing, but it's gonna be really hard to show you guys. Behind these control panel, if you pop this off, there's actually just enough room back there that I hid a fuse panel for all of the accessories. So all that stuff you saw up front, the GoPros, the navigation unit, anything that you saw up there is running hardwired, fused, everything, the way it should be, off of the secondary battery system. That brings up secondary battery. It is all hidden behind these seats and between the drawer system in the back, which you guys will see soon. I can't really show you because it's kind of a pain to take it all down and show you, but I'll give you the details here in a second. To power / control that unit, I'm running the RedArc Manager 30 system. This is the control head for it. It is currently at 93%. It says 1 day until flat. I do not know why, actually, because to be honest, this usually runs about 3 to 4 days with 0 power coming in. I used to run solar on the roof and found it wasn't really necessary. This unit ties into the front battery and alternator charging system. So it charges from the vehicle. It senses that the vehicle is on. It has a automatic sensing system. Senses the vehicle is on. It will charge your secondary battery system with 30 amps of power. It also can take 2 other forms of charge. It will also do what's called green priority. So if you plug in any kind of solar, it will also pull from solar as much as possible. It will also do a 110 outlet. So there's a cord, which I have hidden on underneath the side of the seat here. You can kind of maybe see this with my hand, probably not. It's hidden down here. I almost have never used it except for when I've parked the vehicle. But that allows you to charge from a 110 outlet as well. So you have 3 forms of charging all integrated into that unit, which charges the secondary battery system, which I'll give you guys some specs before we open up the back of the trunk, or maybe while we open this up, because it's gonna be a little bit of work with one hand. So the secondary battery system I built myself. You'll notice once I open this up that there was not a lot of room behind the rear seats and this Dobinson's drawer system. So I looked everywhere. I looked at Battleborn batteries. I looked at Dakota. I looked at all the brands, really. Any of the major brands I looked at and tried to find a battery system that would fit in there, and all of them are, you know, like car batteries. They would not fit. So I actually went out, did my own research, did some YouTube videos, and built my own secondary battery system. It is a 205 amp hour lithium ion battery system that is managed by an Overkill BMS, so a battery management system, and then the RedArc system feeds that. It's probably nerdy. I probably lost a few of you there, but long story short, I have a 205 amp hour battery. This will run, I've been to multiple Overland festivals. As you can see, this big thing here, we'll go over in a second. This will run this system 3 to 4 days with 0 power coming in, no problems. If you are traveling at all, you know, a couple hours a day, you have unlimited power. I do carry a little portable solar panel with me sometimes. I don't use it that often. I have a nice little trick spot I did under the hood. I'll show you guys that when I do the hood opening at the end. But it works pretty good, but I don't really use it very often. Anyway, let's get into the back. Before we get too far, I do have a nice little table on this swing out here. This table drops down, and you have a nice flat surface. There's also a flat surface on this bumper, and we also carry a little aluminum fold-out table with us as well, which isn't in here right now. To be honest, guys, this back is going to be messy. We came back from a trip not too long ago, so it's not organized, and yeah, but you get the idea. I am running a rear Dobinson's drawer system with the optional swing out, or with the optional end cap pieces here. Let's see if this wants to get some. There we go. So there's end caps here with some little doors that you can open up and store some stuff on the sides. On this side, I have a 1,000-watt pure wave sine inverter. This will power anything up to 1,000 watts, so even a small microwave maybe, but you know, anything you want. I usually use it just for like charging dog collar, charging laptops, batteries, all that kind of stuff. The drawer system is 2 large drawers that are lockable. They come all the way out. Oh, you know what? They're locked right now. I'll grab the keys here. We'll talk about it though. It comes all the way out. It is lockable. I have them locked right now, which is good to show you guys because I was at a car show, had it opened up, didn't want people grabbing stuff. So let's grab some keys here. And we'll unlock these. So you put your key in here and you can unlock these. They open up almost all the way, and you have a lot of storage in them. Like I said, this is completely disorganized right now. It's usually a lot better than this, and I'm also going to build some divider systems for this. This side is usually our hard goods, kitchen, coffee, tea, coffee press, you know, all that kind of stuff, cookies, crackers, that stuff all goes in that side. This side is usually tools and whatnot. Right now it is a disaster because like this is the other element fire extinguisher. That's usually up on the molly panel up there. Same thing with a few of these other tools. I was trying to figure out a rattle the other day, so I kind of just threw everything in here. But great drawer system, rolls nice, locks nice. Also has an integrated fridge slide, which brings up the fridge. Let's see if I can do this with one hand. I can. This has a nice slide that's built into it, pulls it out. My only complaint with this is, well, really my wife's complaint. She's 5 foot cute. She cannot see into the fridge without jumping on the rear bumper. I'm 6 foot, I can get in and out pretty easily. This is the Iceco VL65 fridge, 65 liter dual zone fridge. You can run fridge, freezer, fridge, freezer, freezer, whatever direction you want. It works phenomenal. We have ice cream, frozen meat, drinks, I mean, you name it. You can bring everything in here. You can have at least a week's worth of supplies, so that's awesome. I do have this little Blue Ridge gear bag here. This is for like kitchen gear. I'm not going to unzip it all the way because it's kind of a pain to zip up with one hand. Down here we have just kitchen utensils. Well, these are kitchen utensils. This is like forks, knives, that stuff, cutlery, I guess. And then these are some cleaning gear. It wants to open anyway. But folds down like that, folds up nice. Super great system. Again, Blue Ridge Overland gear, made in US, awesome stuff. I want to say he's in like Tennessee maybe, but I might be wrong on that. On this side, we just have flat storage. So I have a recovery kit, tool bag from Boxo. That's their King or Hammers kit. Some, some chairs, stuff like that. Nothing crazy, just storage. This side, we have the Victory 4x4 Molly panel, and we have the Victory attic, I guess you want to call it. We just kind of keep storage and stuff up there. Milwaukee charger to charge our batteries for our tools. I have some Milwaukee tools I use, and also our chainsaws Milwaukee. So it kind of charges everything, integrates right into the factory. Inverter is down there. Super clean, super nice. It really covers the back, guys. So let's get underneath the hood, and that'll kind of wrap up the build on this, guys. What do you think? I'd love to hear some input on this. Is there some things that you wish you would have heard more about? What future videos do you want to see? That kind of stuff. I'd love to hear it. Let's get under the hood here and we'll wrap this up. This is going to be super dirty. I apologize. I don't really clean under here. First, let's go over here. One of the first things you should do on any GX460 is replace the secondary air injection filter with an aftermarket filter. It is typically a foam filter. It is known for getting sucked in the motor, and goodbye motor. So do that. There is a recall on that, I believe, but the recall is just to replace the foam with more foam. I wired up a quick little connector here for my solar panel. That's just noting that. I thought that was clean spot to put it. You can run the wire right outside the car, nice and easy. On this side, we have an upgraded AGM battery. This is just for the engine. This also runs the winch, and this runs the dual air compressor. So we are running the A or B dual air compressor. I have a little fuse panel here. Honestly, there's not much in it. I want to say maybe my remote start is on there, a few other things, and of course the Switch Pros unit is back here, which has all the connections, a bus bar, all that. I am running the SDHQ billet terminal connectors. And then this is a die-hard battery. To be honest, not my favorite. I was in a pinch, needed a battery. It is a 24F, so it's a larger battery than factory. Again, it just runs engine and stuff like that. Nothing really to write home about. I am running, which is hard to see, an upgraded transmission cooler, which has, let's see here if I can get this to focus, has a thermostatic switch and a fan on it. So that will kick on when the fan will kick on if there's no air blowing across it. So say you're on a trail and you're doing long hills and stuff, your transmission fluid will heat up. Great, except for you don't have air blowing across that transmission cooler. So I wired up that fan. Automatically kicks on and cools the system down. When you're on the road and you have air blowing across it, everything's fine, no issues. Guys, that was pretty long. It was pretty detailed. I'm sure that's like an hour long, but that's everything on the vehicle. I'm sure I missed a few details. I would love to hear your input. What do you love? What do you want to see more of? Again, I'm a new channel. If you guys could like, subscribe, share, there's going to be so much more content coming. New features, new things. I'm going to have so many blogs going into detail on little bits and pieces, electrical system, all that. Would love your guys' support. In the meantime, stay adventurous. I'll see you guys next time. Peace.